Welcome to another episode of Follow the Brand. I am your host, Grant McGaw, CEO of 5-Star BDM, a 5-star personal branding and business development company. I want to take you on a journey that takes another deep dive into the world of personal branding and business development using compelling personal story, business conversations, and tips to improve your personal brand. By listening to the Follow the Brand podcast series, you will be able to differentiate yourself from the competition and allow you to build trust with prospective clients and employers. You never get a second chance to make a first impression. Make it one that will set you apart, build trust, and reflect who you are. Developing your 5-star personal brand is a great way to demonstrate your skills and knowledge. If you have any questions for me or my guests, please email me at grant.mcgaugh, spelled M-C-G-A-U-G-H, at 5-star BDM, B for brand, D for development, M for masters.com. Now let's begin with our next 5-star episode on Follow the Brand. Hello, everyone. I am Grant McGaugh, CEO of 5-Star BDM, where we help you to build a 5-star brand that people will follow. And I want to welcome you back to the Follow Brand podcast. And today we are diving into something absolutely essential for healthcare leaders, financial acumen. And I am happy to welcome back LaTasha Barnes, a powerhouse in healthcare finance, who I first met during my NAHSE Florida days back when she was the CFO at Orlando Health. Now, as the owner of L. Barnes Consulting in St. Petersburg, she's transforming organizations by helping them reimagine their financial strategies and operations. One thing I have learned over the years working with healthcare executives is this: understanding the language of business, which is finance, can make or break your leadership journey. Whether you are a director looking to move up or a VP wanting to make a bigger impact, mastering the financial side of healthcare is not just helpful, it is essential. And that's exactly what we're exploring today with LaTasha. And here's the exciting part. She's also joining us at the Lead with Impact Vision to Victory workshop this January in Miami, where she will coach our cohort on how to elevate their financial expertise and leadership game. So, get ready for some real talk about healthcare finance, leadership development, and what it truly takes to succeed in today's complex healthcare environment. So let's dive in on the Follow Brand podcast, where we are building a 5-star brand that you can follow. Welcome, everyone, to the Follow Brand podcast. I'm your host, Grant McGaugh. We're going to go all the way over to St. Pete, the other side of Florida. You know, I'm over in Miami, Florida, so we got the Atlantic, and then you got the beautiful Tampa Bay over in St. Pete. And guess who's there in St. Pete with us right now? We got LaTasha Barnes. We just talked about this. I had met her about 5 years ago during an NAHSE, or we used to call it NASI, right, at the time, when I was on my whirlwind tour trying to make this a statewide chapter. And Orlando Health had so many leaders in healthcare. And one of those leaders was LaTasha Barnes, and she just really, man, we connected right away. I always liked talking to her. She was on one of my earliest shows. I mean, the first year I was doing podcasting, she was on because, hey, we need to do something around financial empowerment and understanding what that's all about. And she agreed to be on my show. And here we are 3 years later, and we're going to be joined with a Lead with Impact Vision to Victory workshop in Miami, January 25th, 26th. It's going to be wonderful. And she's going to impart her wisdom, her experience, her knowledge to all the different participants. So we want to talk about just a little bit about that and really show people what they're going to gain. So would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. First, let me just say thank you so much, Grant, for having me back on your podcast. I had a fabulous time the first time. So I'm really looking forward to the conversation today. I am, as you said, LaTasha Barnes. I am the owner and principal consultant of L. Barnes Consulting here in St. Petersburg, Florida. Formerly of Orlando Health, where I served as a chief financial officer, where we met, like you said. And again, I'm just so excited to be working with you again. I'm so excited for the workshop coming up in January. And thank you again for having me.
Excellent. Excellent. So we're going to have a great conversation. And everybody wants us to jump right in. And if they're not feeling it, I know I'm feeling it. It's the passion you have around finances and healthcare. The lifeblood of any business is the finance that kind of runs through there. Share with us some of your passion for the numbers and how you really dissect these different things and can show your expertise in this area.
So when I started my journey just in my professional career, I learned pretty quickly. I was working in Big Four at the time, Big Four audit company. And I learned pretty quickly I wanted to work for a company or work with a company that did something, not made something. And so that's how I got started in hospitals and healthcare in general. And obviously, my degree is in accounting. I'm a certified public accountant. And I've just, over the years, really developed a strong passion for healthcare finance and really finding ways for organizations to thrive financially and putting their mission first, but acknowledging that without margin, there is no mission. So that's really been my impetus over the last couple of decades now, where I've just found my niche, I think, of helping organizations dive into the problems that exist financially, but think about it from a holistic approach of how they actually operate and how those operations can impact the financials. And so that's really where I focused the last probably 10 years in my career, is helping hospitals that are in turnaround situations. And it's been a lot of fun, and it's energizing for me. It's not the normal typical debits and credits. It's really, I like finding a problem. I loved audit. So I love solving a problem for a company.
Well, there's a lot of, especially when it comes to finance in healthcare, operated on small margins compared to certain corporations that operate on double-digit margins, and in healthcare usually it's single digits. So every dollar counts. Now, what our workshops is around is helping our cohort of executives, healthcare executives, to get to that next level. And I have found in my research and a lot of different discussions that the finance and financial acumen is often missing. They just don't get, either it's from exposure, they just haven't had the experience with how the financial lens, when they're doing things in operations, operational efficiency, or the other departments that make up a lot of these things. Share with us some of the wisdom that you have found, that if you want to impart to some of these different operators, that you find that would be beneficial.
Over my career, I've seen, and really just in general, as a financial leader, it's been kind of a one-dimensional approach. It's all about the numbers. And so it tends to kind of silo you as a leadership team. If you think about it, you've got your operator, you have your visionary, the CEO, you have your financial person. If you're in healthcare, you've got someone on the clinical side from a nursing perspective. You may have someone on the clinical side from a quality perspective. And everybody's got their priorities. And what I have learned, and I think what's really made me successful, and ultimately the companies that I've worked for successful, is when you look at the problem through a multi-pronged approach. I can't solve alone a P&L problem as a CFO if I don't look to the actual operations of the organization and understand, well, what are we doing that may be leading to that problem? If I'm seeing low volumes in a hospital, no one, it's kind of funny to think of when you think of a hospital in And as a business, and you don't have the volumes because people aren't sick or whatever the case may be. It's not that I'm wishing that someone is sick, but it's that's our service, is taking care of sick people. So when they aren't coming through the door, the question is not a financial question. It's, do we have bad quality? Do we not get patients in and out of the ED fast enough? If we don't, how can we fix that? Do we not treat them well? Are we not nice? And so therefore they don't want to come see us. They don't want to come to us for care. They want to go down the street to the hospital that takes better care of them just as a person. So it's more than I'm spending too much money or I'm not making enough revenue. It's what is the actual problem that's leading to the output that we see of lower revenue or lower net income, and how do we then approach that holistically? That to me, and I think it's where thinking that way and using that as my leverage with an operator earns me so much capital from a relationship standpoint, because if I can approach the scenario through their lens, they understand I'm not just trying to cut services or make money. It's how do we attack the problem that you're confronting as a clinician, that you're having as a physician or my quality, leader? How do we address that? That ultimately, at the end of the day, that's going to create money down the line or revenue down the line. And really, it's not just for the sake of making money. If you're a nonprofit, you're looking at it from the standpoint of, now I have more resources that I can push out into the community, or I can provide extra services for our community that we don't provide today. So it's really that holistic approach. And, to get back to your question, any new emerging leader, think of your area just as a spoke in the wheel. It's just the one of the things that keeps the wheel moving. You can't approach a problem just by approaching it from your lens only, and really seek to create those relationships with your fellow operators, because ultimately that's how you're going to be successful. When you have to, what I call, throw the hammer down, and it has to be about the thing that's important to you, that capital you've earned by being collaborative with your partners helps you to achieve the goal that you ultimately need to achieve in the first place. And when you've got to be a little stronger in your approach, they understand where you're coming from. They know it's not you being selfish. Mm-hmm. That's been my success, I think.
I think that you've teed up this next question very, very well when it comes to the CFO perspective. And I've heard from a lot of, and this is all research that I've done over the last 3 years and talking to a lot of healthcare executives, that they want the exposure. They want to understand the conversation in the C-suite. And it always comes back to, you have to understand the language of business. And the language of business is finance. And if you don't understand finance at that level, it's hard to understand where you fit in. So you might put together a proposal, let's say, and you've got a business plan. Everybody, you get the budget, right? You got to write something up. You got to get your budget approved. And everyone sees, man, my budget always gets cut. They want me to do more with less. But not understanding that when you're at the table of the C-suite and from the CFO lens, what are you seeing that from as a challenge for these operational people or other departments that usually just say, you know what, that's the problem. That's why you're not getting what you're seeking.
Yeah, I actually just had this come up with a client I'm working with now, of where it's about tying what the operator is doing to the finances, helping them understand how their actions impact a financial result. Because you're right, they don't understand it from just a pure financial lens. So as a CFO, it's my job to break it down in such a way that they understand the basics, putting the right metrics or the right performance indicators that relate directly to what they do in front of them. And that helps them, that gets the wheels turning, I think. If I'm working with a leader in an imaging space and their business is images for patients, right? So diagnostics, what have you. And if they're not as productive as I would like them to be, multiple scans per hour or for the day, yet they've got all the people working, all these resources engaged to provide this service, and they're wondering, why are they losing money? Like, why are they not making money doing this thing? But when you break it down to, well, you could be getting 20 scans per hour, but you're only doing 10, and you've got the staff to do 20. So let's think about what that means. You're spending Y to make X when you really should be spending Y to make Y. And it's just kind of breaking it down to as bare bones as you possibly can, but really putting it in the financial terms that they understand. Are we talking about turnaround time? Yeah. What does turnaround time mean to you? And how quickly do you get patients in and out? Therefore, you can get more patients in the door. Therefore, you generate more revenue that supports the resources you're using. So it's really breaking it down to what they're doing operationally and then tying it to a financial element that they can understand. They may not understand what the whole P&L says. If I'm talking to my chief operating officer, then it's a higher level conversation, but it still is kind of getting bare bones to how, not having these 10 beds on this unit open because we can't get them open fast enough. They're under construction, whatever the case may be, how not having them open impacts our financials, because we said in our budget, we were going to have these beds open by X. So it's breaking it down to something that they truly can relate to their day-to-day business. I think is a very useful tool in getting non-financial leaders to understand finances.
Let's unpack that a little bit, because I know that is a sticking point for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. They might have went to business school. They might have MBAs. They might have went through that course, but then as they got into industry, they're doing what they do, whether it's in imaging, it's radiology, it's the whole operational aspects, it's the marketing aspects, but you're doing the work, not understanding, or maybe just not, you might have a cursory understanding of the financial conversation that takes place. Mm-hmm. But being able to communicate, that's what I find, is the communication.
Yeah.
How do you speak, finance to the business, to the ultimately to the C-suite that you're working with, and having that conversation. Now, what advice would you give to, let's just say, someone who's a director, or maybe they're a newly promoted VP, to up their game when it comes to financial acumen at the level of a board if they need to hear from them?
Mm-hmm. I have over the years worked, especially with our leaders who are getting their advanced degrees. Part of their education is some type of financial project. And they always come to me and they want to sit down with me and help them understand finances. And what I learned through that is not dumbing it down. And that's probably such a terrible phrase, but not dumbing it down is also necessary so that they do learn the financial acumen. And so I would suggest truly sitting down with your senior leader, whoever that your senior financial leader is, and having them literally walk you through a financial statement, walk you through the key performance indicators that you as an executive leader use, and teach you what they mean. Now, you won't learn it all in one fell swoop, but it could be an exercise of maybe as the leader, you receive the information and you, as an exercise, try to take those concepts and the learnings that you gained from that session with your finance leader and try to do it yourself, basically, like practice, basically. Maybe have them present. Like I love having leaders, you present to me your financial information. Let me help critique that. Let me help you let me help you enhance that knowledge a little more. And as they continue to practice, as they continue to dive into that information on a day-to-day or month-to-month basis, that acumen will grow. Like, you're not going to learn it in one go. And then as the leader, obviously, maybe parsing out the pieces that really are the most relevant are a good first step. And then you can grow that knowledge to more of that global, high level, board level, senior corporate leader level of expertise or knowledge that, that would be presented to them. I think that could be a good first step. Just talk to your finance leader and have them just walk you through it, give you the access. You seek out the information, try to decipher it yourself, maybe present to your senior leader, and have them critique you, have them help you just continue to get better and better.
I think that's so important. One of the reasons why we're going to have this workshop is that we're going to have a simulation, board simulations of what that conversation truly is like. And that you have to work with your team. We're going to have different teams. We have a cohort of about 40 individuals. We'll break that down into about teams of 5 or 6 people. Everyone will have a role, and not in their traditional role. Maybe you were in marketing, but maybe you're going to be the technology leader. You're going to be the finance leader. You're going to be the COO or the CEO at the table. Have those conversations. Now, your piece, you're going to be coaching us that first day, coaching everyone that's there to start to begin to understand these kinds of conversations to up their game. Because people are looking for career advancement, and having this in their toolkit, to have this kind of skill set that I didn't expect you to know this type of thing, right? Because you're an operations person. Wow, you understand this some of these nuances in the financial world and why you can get some of these things done. And it makes good sense. It's good business, right? Where you're speaking the language of business. Talk to us a little bit more about some success stories that you've had were certain leaders that they came to you and they weren't really up to snuff with their financial acumen, but then over time, they were able to then deliver different presentations, that type of thing at a high level. Ready to elevate your brand with 5-star impact? Welcome to the Funnel Brand Podcast, your gateway to exceptional personal growth and innovative business strategies. Join me as I unveil the insider strategies of industry pioneers and branding experts. Discover how to supercharge your business development, harness the power of AI for growth, and sculpt a personal brand that stands out in the crowd. Transform ambition into achievement. Explore more at firestarbdm.com for a wealth of resources. Ignite your journey with our Brave Brand Blueprint and begin crafting your standout 5-star future today.
I'm in my last full-time role. I had a young lady in her practicum for her master's in business. And so this harkens back to what I said earlier, where they come to me and they want me to teach them things, right? So she was given kind of a stretch assignment where it dealt with putting together a contract for services that the hospital will be providing, sort of like health screenings, things like that. So not where they come to the hospital, but what she had to do was put together the fee schedule. She had to understand how to price out the service, what basis to use, et cetera. And she literally, as a clinician, she would tell me, I have no clue. Like, I don't know what to do. And she's so nervous because she doesn't want to mess it up, right? So I took some time to just explain to her how you might even come up with the fee schedule. Let's think about how much time is involved with what you're going to be doing. Like, think about the people who are going to be providing the service. How much do they make an hour? How much time will they be spending with each patient for these screenings? And then, of course, there's a markup element to that from a revenue and bottom line perspective. So teaching her about markup and how much is probably too much, what's reasonable, what makes sense, what do we need to make off of providing the service so that it makes it worth it for us to do, other than the aspect of it being a community service. Let me just caveat that. We're talking about healthcare here. But so I took the time to work with her on that, and she was able to get all the necessary elements from the potential client, how much volume we thought we would see. Then she could put together, well, how much time will that entail? What complement of people will we need to provide the service? Do all the calculations and come up with fees for the different types of service that we would provide, including the markup. And tell me, so what is this business going to net us at the end of the day? Is it going to be, how much will we make off providing this particular service for this client? And so from beginning to end, she put it all together. And when I say I had notes, obviously, nothing will ever be perfect. But at the end of the day, she was so overjoyed that she did it, because she was, again, in her words, clueless. She understands, but does not understand. And so, I think she just felt so proud of herself for being able to, she didn't have to negotiate the contract necessarily, but she needed to come up with the fee schedule, and she did. And it was something that I don't think in a million years she thought she'd ever be able to do. And the next year, because it became an annual service that the client provided, then she did it the year after that, and understood how, to think about inflation. Like, have costs risen for us, then we have to think about how we may have to increase the markup that we calculate to keep us at least whole, right? So it was a really great experience for her, and I just love helping, so it felt great for me too. I love it when, like, the light bulb goes off.
Yeah.
Especially someone who is non-financial at all. Like, when that light bulb goes off, it's awesome.
It is, because some people are very good in their technical skill set of what they do, but outside of that realm, but this is the type of thing that actually helps you to attain the goal that you're looking to attain.
Right.
But you're just not that savvy, or you've just not been exposed to it. What is that financial conversation?
Exactly.
I'm going to throw this at you, because now we're doing a workshop. There's an investment in yourself that has to take place.
Yeah.
And I've heard this term in healthcare, and I love it too, because a lot of people talk about ROI, but they talk about return on invested capital, ROIC, return on invested capital. So talk to our audience that are interested in being a part of our cohort that's going to take place at Miami-Dade College Medical Campus, January 25th, 26th. If they have an investment of capital of anywhere from $500 to $800, what do you think that's going to look like from your end?
From my end, I think if I was a participant in this, I would be looking at it from the lens of the value I gain from the multidiscipline professionals that are going to be included, the value that I gain from the cohort I'd be a part of, and all the learnings, the diversity of thought that's going to be at the table, and the opportunity to stretch yourself in the pursuit of better knowledge that's going to propel your career. You're going to have an opportunity to hear from experts in their field, help you enhance the skills you already have. Like, you're not a slouch here. Like, these are participants, they know what they're doing. The goal here is to just enhance those learnings, help give you leverage and edge over your competitor, your peer, your colleague, perhaps, that may be vying for a similar job. It's an opportunity to really learn other skills over what you do in your day-to-day life. It's a handheld is the wrong word. It's a very curated session that will help you as a professional hone those skills that you most desire. And I think it will also help you understand that success in your career is not just built upon what you actually do, but how well you navigate outside naturally gifted with doing. what you've gone to school for, how you've been trained. It goes back to our conversation of non-financial leaders learning finance. It helps you round out as an executive when you can understand other facets of your business outside of what you do as a professional. So to me, it's not an insignificant amount of money, but the value that's going to be gained is going to be far, far better, far more than the investment that you've made as an individual. And if you had to stick a percentage to it, I'm telling you, it's going to be triple digits.
Right. That's what I want to hear from a CFO around this. And I want our leaders that actually run systems and start to look down at their bench and their pipeline of leadership, like, hey, we need to sponsor people to go to this because we're going to be stronger for doing it all the way around, because it's getting harder and harder to hit the marks that we have. And if we have more and more people that are financially savvy and that they're savvy from a leadership perspective and they understand how to get things done, they're going to be more efficient. Yeah. And I think that's what we're ultimately trying to get to along the way. Now, let's talk about this. And I want, because our leaders really need to understand this, and I know you understand this. What are the pressing problems in healthcare? Because you're at these tables, and they're just, look, I have X. That's all I've got, and I got to do Y. And usually Y is bigger than X. At some of these tables. What are the major challenges that, if you knew these challenges, it's going to help you in your ascension in your career in healthcare?
In healthcare, I'll say healthcare's been plagued by at least two challenges forever, it seems. Obviously, the reimbursement landscape is as complex as it's ever been. I don't think it's going to get any simpler. I think it's going to continue to be complex. So as a healthcare leader, all the leaders, not just the financial leader, but as a healthcare leader, you've got to figure out, how do you innovate your care delivery? It may cost more initially to invest, speaking of ROIC, initially to invest in those innovations, especially from a technology standpoint. There's fear that means that people will lose jobs, which I'll tell you, the second issue is just a shortage of qualified clinicians, qualified between physicians, nursing, techs, it runs the gamut. COVID was not the start of our shortages, our staffing shortages in healthcare. It just exacerbated it. So figuring out ways to make care delivery more innovative, simpler, take less time, can help also lessen the challenges we have on the staffing side. It doesn't mean that people lose jobs. It just means all the people you thought you needed to hire, maybe you don't need to hire them now. And you can't get by with what you have and still deliver great care. So, I think that the reimbursement side of the house, you talk about the governmental impact that occurs there. I mean, most of reimbursement, not most, all of reimbursement in the healthcare setting, it's all centered around CMS and how that reimbursement model works. And then you've got your managed care companies that kind of feed off of that. And so you have to get really savvy with how you negotiate those contracts with everyone. So you can only do so much on the reimbursement side. All you can really do is think through, how do you innovate the care delivery experience? And then what services are you providing? How best can you address the needs in your community through services? And are you doing that? Because maybe that's your revenue driver, providing a service that you haven't been providing that's much needed in the community. But at the end of the day, figuring out how to deliver that care efficiently as possible, but also effectively, shortening those ED wait times, things like that. Like how do you deliver care in an innovative way that gets you to the bottom line you need and still provides the best service that you can for the community?
Very important. Thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely.
Now, talk to me as if I'm a director in a hospital system, of a certain department, and now I have been promoted to a vice president level. And for the first time, I'm looking at, normally, you get a promotion, you get a bump in salary, and there you go. At certain levels, you start to look at actual contracts with bonus plans and compensation language that hit certain metrics, that you get certain amounts of money, many different things. And then, like, let's just say you don't hit those metrics, or you leave the company and there's other clauses in there, whether you gain or lose. They've never been exposed to this kind of employment contract. Talk to someone that's never even seen something like, so they don't make a mistake like, oh, that looked great, and don't even realize they made a mistake and they could have got more.
Right. I've been there, done that. I would suggest first and foremost for anyone that is seeking growth in their career, whether it's to be a leader of a department or a vice president or a chief financial officer, seek out a mentor. Find someone that, and they don't necessarily have to be in your actual profession. You just want someone that's been there, that's experienced what you either are experiencing or are striving to experience, quite honestly. So you want to move in that space. Find a mentor that can just help guide you, someone that you can bounce those questions off before you have to actually deal with it. And any good mentor is going to be proactive enough to understand, depending upon where you are in your career and what your aspirations are, what questions to even ask of you to help you start to think about those specific scenarios or situations you could find yourself in. And that's how the conversation can be started. That's how you're not blindsided, and you can hopefully avoid some of those pitfalls that many of us have made along the way. It's not foolproof, because we're people and we're going to decide to do what we want to do when we want to do it. And we'll, as my aunt says, take what you want from a person and leave what you don't when they're giving you advice. But I think that can be a very strong and powerful tool in your tool belt as a new or aspiring leader, is to have a mentor, have someone that can help guide you. That's honestly how I have been successful in my career. I have always found or had people take an interest. So be on the lookout for people who are showing an interest in you. Don't be shy, and cultivate that relationship with the person. They may not have approached you about being their mentee, you being their mentee. But if you are interested in this individual and you can tell they're taking an interest in your career, that's the person to hitch your wagon to. If you think they're a good person and can help you and you can learn something from them, hitch your wagon to someone that's willing to help take you along the way. But, if you are already in the scenario, you don't have a mentor, all is not lost. But seek, again, this is still your opportunity to pause, because if you've been presented an offer or you find yourself in a situation where it's possible you're going to get this big promotion and you don't quite know what to ask for or what not to say, receive the information and just take a pause. Because if it's yours, it's yours. There's nothing you can, no time, relatively speaking, that you could take to think about something that would change the situation. Just take a beat and then find someone that can maybe help you weed through, the information. And it doesn't hurt to ask for what you want, because they can only say no. And if you didn't have it to begin with, so then you haven't lost anything if they do say no. So why not ask? That's been, a learning for me in my career, probably over the last 10 years, is just, especially as a female leaders, especially, we tend to not negotiate. And so I've finally found that voice probably about 10 years ago when I had my first executive finance position or offer. And I figured it wouldn't hurt me to ask for something else. They can only say no. The offer was fine, but why not ask? Maybe they'll say yes, right? So it never hurts. But find a person to help you navigate the process and find them early so that when you're faced with the situation, you already know you've got somebody you can go to.
That's great advice. And I know you have your business now. You're doing some consulting.
Yes.
I want you, this is the last question I'm going to ask you, but I really, the audience needs to know, because now, you're not just behold, to one organization. You can help a lot of different people with all your different wisdom and experience and expertise. Talk to us a little bit more about your business.
Sure. Thank you. I started my company, L. Barnes Consulting, back in 2017. And I left a large healthcare corporation at that point and thought, I can impart this wisdom, this information. I can help. The goal was to help small businesses navigate the complexities of finances, because as you can imagine, as many of your viewers or listeners know, lots of companies, they try to do it all. Small businesses try to do it all, and they don't really navigate the pitfalls that can happen from a financial perspective. And so that was my goal initially. And so this second iteration, I'll call it, my focus has really been more of using the expertise I've gained over the last about 10 years now to help those companies that are in a turnaround situation, small, medium, large, provide interim chief financial officer leadership. I've actually got a client right now, a large client I'm working with right now, that are in between CFOs, and I'm just helping to keep the wheels moving. But in true LaTasha fashion, I've got to find a problem to fix, and I found several. So that's really what L. Barnes Consulting is focused on, is helping those companies that are either in a turnaround situation, have a problem to fix, and helping navigate the complexities that can often bring. So whether it's implementing processes, policies, it's really, diving deep into whatever the problem may be and coming up with some viable solutions and helping them to make some strong financial decisions. But I also work with nonprofits still. I've got a couple now in two varying industries, one a museum, one a organization that's like a shared services organization, where I'm their fractional chief financial officer as well. Yeah, so
This is so important. So I see the CFO, the interim CFO that you're doing. And I'm curious because now, will you do one-on-one coaching with someone? It's like, you know what, I want to move into potentially either a CFO role or assistant role or whatever it may be along that track. Will you do that kind of coaching as well?
I will actually. Funny enough, I've been thinking about getting my certification as a coach. So yeah, I am always willing to talk with aspiring individuals, those executives that are already in place or leaders in place looking to maybe take the next step to a chief financial role or in a finance executive role. Yeah, definitely happy to do that.
Well, I'm happy you're coming to Miami in January and imparting your wisdom and knowledge to our cohort. This is invaluable. And I'm truly hoping that people weigh this out. You've got to invest in yourself as we think about this holiday season that we're going into right this minute. And we're going to spend money on certain things. But if you got to ask yourself, what are you gifting yourself that is going to pay dividends, many times over?
Yeah.
In many different ways. And you just talked to that. So thank you for being first on the Follow Brand Show, and second to be with us on the Lead with Impact with Dr. Andrea Clark. This is going to be wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Do you have any last parting words before we conclude?
I just want to thank you again for having me on, and you are spot on. The Lead with Impact workshop is going to be fabulous, and it is absolutely an investment in yourself. There is no better way to grow your career than investing in yourself. We can't wait for others to do it. We've got to find those avenues that enrich us and enrich our knowledge, enrich us as a person and as a professional. And I think the workshop's going to be great for that. So I'm looking forward to participating. I'm looking forward to seeing everyone there. I think it's going to be an awesome time of learning and growth and connecting. And it's going to be really awesome to see.
I can't wait to see you. Let the audience know how to contact you for all that great coaching and your interim CFO work, your fractional CFO work, all that type of a service that you offer.
Absolutely. You can find me on LinkedIn, LaTasha Barnes, and you can also find me online at lbarnesconsulting.com.
This is wonderful. And I want to encourage your entire audience to tune in to all the different episodes of Follow Brand at 5-Star BDM. That is the number 5, that's star B, and is as in brand, D in development, and infomasters.com. I want to thank you so much again for being on the show.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on the Follow Brand podcast. Big thanks to Full Effect Productions for their incredible support on each and every episode. Now the journey continues on our YouTube channel, Follow Brand TV series. Dive into exclusive interviews, extended content, and bonus insights that will fuel your success. Subscribe now and be a part of our growing community, sharing and learning together. Explore, engage, and elevate at Follow Brand TV series on YouTube. Stay connected, stay inspired. Till next time, we will continue building a 5-star brand that you can follow.